Big pod energy. Dude, I fell asleep at like 7 this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a record then for you?
It's like inching closer to 8.
Besides an all-nighter.
Yeah, I was actually really considering it because my schedule has been so whack, but
yeah,
man, 30, it's just you can't do it the same, you know? Like the all-nighters.
Well, it wasn't last night. It was 2 nights ago. I got about a half hour of sleep because I was just like, I got to get up at 6 to reset it. Like I'm just falling asleep so late. The only way is just go off a half hour. And I had like so much adrenaline pumping because I was like having these nightmares. And when I did fall asleep for like a half hour, so I was like, oh, it's perfect. I'll just stay up.
Yeah.
And then it kind of worked. It kind of reset it. Just have to have one greasy day.
Yeah. You were telling me about your nightmare. Sounded pretty pretty unsettling, so
felt like someone grabbed my foot and like yanked it.
Yeah. It's crazy how many people have had that experience. I've never had it, thankfully.
Yeah. I don't know if it was my mind or I was literally listening to podcasts like that were psychic mediums that were the guests. So I feel like that was part of it. I was like planting the seed. I don't know if it made me more vulnerable to the reality, objective reality of potentially what was going on, or if it was just purely subconscious.
Yeah.
Probably subconscious, but no way of knowing, I guess.
Do you ever have it when you're listening to a podcast and you fall asleep and then you kind of like wake up, but you're still a bit asleep and it sounds like they're saying stuff that makes absolutely no sense?
Yeah. 100%.
You ever have that? It's so trippy, dude.
Oh, totally.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I don't always now. I know that if I don't fall asleep to a podcast, I generally tend to sleep a little bit better. But
yeah,
sometimes if I'm really tired and I'm like, you know what, I just need to get tired. My mind is like thinking too much. Then if I throw on a podcast, I'm only focused on, you know, what those people are saying. So it's a great tool. But it is funny when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, the video is skipped. So I'd like always a Lex Friedman video.
Yeah.
Andrew Huberman talking about health. And you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, man. It's like
at like 4 a.m. you just wake up.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like no time passes for you, but you've actually watched like or listened to hours of something.
Yeah.
So trippy.
It kind of sucks because you're like, where was I in that podcast before I fell asleep?
I know. Right.
And then you like start it and you're like, oh, wait, no, I was easily 10 minutes forward. And then you're like, nope, more than that.
But the nice thing is you can kind of like replay it and most of it you don't remember. And then there's some, I was watching that Mel Gibson, Joe Rogan. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
Really good. But yeah, man, they talked about a lot of great stuff. A lot of stuff that we actually talked about on a recent episode, but I'm a huge Mel fan. Absolutely massive. Yeah.
Braveheart is probably one of the best movies out there, to be honest.
Have you seen Apocalypto?
I haven't seen Apocalypto, but I've heard it's incredible.
Yeah, you got to watch that. Definitely.
Damn.
It's cool because I didn't know this, but he self-funds most of his films. Like Apocalypto, Passion of the Christ.
Really?
Yeah, which I think is so cool. And he just kind of was saying like how he just wants to tell stories. Because I mean, he wasn't in Apocalypto, but he was just saying like he just wanted. I mean, all the cast spoke a different language. Like everyone had to learn a different language. Same with Passion of the Christ, which I haven't seen, but yeah, sounds pretty epic.
Passion of the Christ is incredible. I didn't know he did that one.
Yeah, he directed. I think he wrote it, but he's working on a sequel. It kind of seems like it's like his life's work now, because he was just talking about it on Joe. Like, just he's been working on the sequel where he wants to kind of go from like before creation all the way, or what is it? Something about like the fall of the angels all the way to the end, kind of. Which is cool. So he's gonna portray like hell and the devil and stuff, which I'm interested to see.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I remember seeing Passion of Christ. What was it? Easter. I was a little kid, but it was like a powerful, emotional film. It was definitely like, yeah, I mean, it's graphic, and I guess the point is to kind of give you a serious representation.
Did you know that the guy that played Jesus got struck by lightning while they were shooting it?
While they were shooting it?
Yeah, dude. He was telling the story. And another guy that was like helping one of the crew guys got struck twice. Which is insane. So apparently it was like while they were like on the hill with all the crosses and stuff, which is just crazy, man. Yeah.
Damn, that's wild. Where they both were fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
Do you ever see The Count of Monte Cristo?
I never did.
That's probably, I would say that's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Wonderful story. It's like the best revenge story ever. Yeah. I mean, it's just like sweet. Like it's just a really, really good movie. Like I couldn't recommend that movie enough. Probably, yeah, top 5 for sure. But the same guy, the main character is, I think, the Passion of Christ.
Jim Cavell or something.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah,
really good actor.
He is, yeah.
But
yeah, I loved that episode, man. Not to go on about it, but Mel was just kind of saying, because he was just asking, like, how did you choose him to play Christ? And it's kind of like a big decision. And yeah, Mel was just kind of saying, like, the reason he did it so well is because he fully emptied himself out for the role. Like he just, I just thought that was an interesting way to put it. So I feel like that's, you know, maybe the best acting comes from just being able to like fully, just let go of everything. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
You excited for Nosferatu tonight?
Oh, yeah.
You checking it out?
Yeah, I'm pumped, dude. I didn't know Lily Rose Depp was in it.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp's
daughter. Yeah,
yeah. I've
been pumping it up way too much on the pod, so
no, Micah,
hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah, Micah has too. So I'm guessing
sweet.
Yeah,
he was into it.
He loved it. Yeah,
that's a good sign. If Micah likes it, that's probably a good sign. If I like it and Micah likes it, then I feel like the odds are good you'll enjoy it. So
he said one of the characters had he put it greasy hairline. I don't know which is that Nosferatu or Willem Dafoe's character.
Not sure. I'm sure. I mean, there's probably a lot of wigs used. So that could have been it, but who knows? I'm trying to think.
He said the sound design was amazing too. Like the sound mix. So
that's the thing is you got to see it in theaters. It's like, I know. Yeah, it's one of those things. There's a lot of films out there that if you didn't get a chance to watch it in theaters, you kind of missed it almost.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel that way with a lot of movies. This is one of them too, and even Robert Eggers says it himself. He's like, you gotta listen to it in theaters, like get the full effect. So
I don't know. It's interesting with movies because there's so many. It's like if I didn't see them in the theater, I probably would never watch them. Because sometimes I'll just go and like take a chance on a film. You know, it's like, oh, it's in the theater. I just want to go to the movies. And that's one thing I really like about going to the movies, because you can browse through rentals on iTunes for hours. But sometimes you just take a chance, you know nothing about a movie and you go in. I love doing that sometimes.
I haven't done that for a really, really long time. But if you find a theater you really like, you can rely on, that's a huge thing. Yeah, when I saw Nosferatu in IMAX, there was like, 5-6 people in the whole IMAX theater.
That was
incredible.
Is that the one we saw Oppenheimer?
Yeah,
Same theater.
Yep.
That must have been weird. I've never been in an empty IMAX. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, I found some old Yu-Gi-Oh cards. My dad just gave me them. And I was like, oh, I want to see how valuable they are. I used to collect them like crazy. I was like absolutely obsessed from 4th grade on. And so I found my old Egyptian god cards.
Weren't you just talking about those on the Christmas special?
I was.
Yeah.
I was talking about them.
Nice.
So these... you got Winged Dragon of Ra, Slifer the Sky Dragon, and Obelisk the Tormentor. So when I looked these up originally, I was like, I don't really think there's any value in them because they were printed so many times. There's so many different versions. But then I was looking up these particular cards are like some secret rare Duel Monsters International Worldwide, they're called. And the lowest I saw them for mint condition was 150 a piece. So I was like, damn.
Looks like the podcast's over, boys. You're retiring.
We're retiring, so
that's pretty cool.
I just knew it when I was in 4th grade that this would be like my retirement, and I'm glad. It's like crypto, but
yeah, dude, it's funny how many things like if we knew about when we were younger.
Oh yeah, I remember Bitcoin like in 2017. I remember people talking about it. Should have dropped it all on it, but
yeah, it's wild, man.
I probably won't sell these though. It's just like too dear to my heart.
Yeah, it's like not worth it really.
Literally, unless something is like, it depends like how much sentimental value like you put on them. Like when I got these, like this was like I had absolutely made it in life essentially as a 4th grader or a 5th grader or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you can't, I mean, if they were 10 grand, sure, maybe I'd get rid of them, but no way. No way at 500, 600 for the pot. There's no
dude, I was saying that I used to collect Mighty Beans, and
I looked those up and now I remember them.
Yeah, so sick, dude.
I collected them as well. There's
the one in the first series. It was called the Mighty Moose Bean, which was like the super rare. Like there's only 1,000 made. And I remember one of my friends at school somehow got one, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you for $15." And I like begged my parents, like, please, but they didn't. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't give me the money. Oh, really? So yeah. But then I ended up getting a card because they had cards too. I got a Mighty Moose Bean card, which was pretty rare, and I was so excited. And then my mom like ran it through the wash in my pants, and it got destroyed. God, and I was just like absolutely heartbroken. But it's so funny. That's
how many times have you like? I've done that so often with things, and it's the most devastating thing. I did it with my first iPod Nano.
Wow!
Ripped through her instantly, just absolutely destroyed my purple iPod Nano.
Dude, those were sweet. I loved iPods. They were so
I loved
dope.
the scroll function of just like circling your thumb.
Oh yeah,
that was so
nice.
satisfying.
Go on LimeWire, just grab a bunch of shit, put it on.
Did you ever have a Sidekick? T-Mobile Sidekick?
No.
Oh, dude, that was. I had like a little. It was like a little cursor ball.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's sweet.
So satisfying. So amazing. Yeah, I really want to get like a flip phone and then use my own number on it, but it's like I also need my smartphone, obviously.
Yeah. Dude, I've considered that so many times too. It would just be so nice. But realistically, yeah.
Because it's like I have a Google Voice number, but I couldn't, you can't really pair like the internet. Maybe there's a way to pair like your internet number. I think the best way of doing it is probably like you have a phone that is just like a separate number, and then you give it to like your emergency contacts and be like, okay, if you really need to get a hold of me, like call me on this. Or if it's like a business thing or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like,
no, that's what a lot of people say to do is like have a number that you give to people that you trust and know, and then one for that you use for everything else, which is a good call for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Same with email and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like the most distracting thing in the world. Like it's so hard to work when you have your phone on you. I try to also just like, I used to do this where I like would leave it outside the bedroom, but I would still listen to podcasts. So like anytime there would be like a random event where it would like pause it, like once in a while my AirPod would screw up and then it wouldn't play it again. And then I'm like, oh, I got to get up, go to the other room, play it again. So I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to get away from it.
It's crazy because there's so much stuff that's like so habitual now for everyone. That's like, how the hell do you ever get out of it?
Right.
It's like you just the complex wiring of your brain. And yeah, it's insane, dude. It's like how many hours you spend doing that stuff. But it's like, what did we do before? Like going to sleep? I guess like listen to music. I never did that though.
You just got bored and you don't get bored anymore. And I think it's one of the coolest things if you ever try this. I mean, literally if you're having a bad day, if you're feeling a little anxious or whatever, not anxious necessarily, but for example, like there's been times where I've consciously made the decision if I'm like maybe I'm in a waiting room or let's say I'm in line somewhere, instead of like looking at my phone and just using it that little downtime as a distraction, I'll just be completely present and just be bored. Just like don't stimulate myself. And I find that you start to get ideas and you start to like be motivated to like create things, and you start to like feel like when you're a little kid and you kind of felt those things all the time. I noticed that started like happening literally one day. I was like, I'm going to spend an hour and I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to sleep. I'm not going to meditate. I just sat there and I was like, I just sat on my couch, kind of looked forward and was like, I'll take a walk out on the deck. I was like looking at the stars, but I wasn't doing anything. And I was like, all of a sudden within 10, 15 minutes, like, I whipped out my journal. I started writing all these ideas I was getting. Like it was like a download. I was like, I opened myself up to something that I was actually closing off when I was distracting myself.
100%, dude.
And I just wonder how much we miss out on like from our minds and just like ideas and creativity, and how much dopamine we kind of waste every day just doing those little like, oh, I gotta check my phone, when it's like you don't really need to check it, you know what I mean? And you lose dopamine every time you do that. So
I agree with that. I remember one time I did this thing. I remember I woke up and it was I just had this idea. I was like, this was years ago, but I was I was like, what if I just like pretend this is the first time I've ever experienced reality, and like I just like throw away all the labels, and it was just so trippy, dude. But I like took a walk. It was like super early in the morning, snowy. I used to live by a lake. Just walked to the lake. I was like looking around, kind of like as if this was like my first time experiencing the world, and just like seeing the icy lake and stuff. It was, and I remember right after that, I like checked the mail, and I just had like it was like a check or something like really unexpected, like just immediately after. It's like, it was a great day. But yeah, it's so true, dude. That's kind of what I was saying with the habits. So you're so, just programmed to see things and think about things a certain way. And it's, number one, to even be aware of it is hard,
Right.
Yeah.
You've read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I'm guessing, right?
That was one of like probably the first like spiritual book or whatever you'd call it that I ever read. Yeah.
Same here.
Yep.
That book just absolutely like shattered my mind at the time, because I was like 22 or 23. I had listened to Alan Watts. Alan Watts is a good gateway person to listen to start like flipping your paradigm on its back a little bit, starting to make you think. You're like, like I never thought of things like that. Like Alan Watts is like the first person, but Eckhart Tolle, whatever you say, he wrote this book called The Power of Now. And the whole concept is you just like you basically spend your time fully in the present moment. And what that means is you just focus on what's called qualia. And qualia is it's essentially you're just observing something with no judgment whatsoever. It's basically like the experience of perception, but you make no judgments of anything. And I mean, you know this, but it's one of those things that's so impossible to remember and to do on a consistent basis. But if you do it, because you're so wrapped up in the world, your mind's always running. But if you just like take 10 minutes, go for a walk, and do not judge anything you see, just like take in the perception, take in like the sounds of the birds or the cold, the temperature, or just like feel it, but don't judge it. Like, don't be like, I don't like this. Just be like, nope, this is just what is. That car is just whatever. There's a road, but you don't even think of the word road. You don't even think of the word car. And it's just fully present. And it's so crazy because you like tap into this like universal just oneness immediately, like without substances. We were talking about psychedelics, last week. And this is, it's a way to do it without any of those things. And it really shifts your life if you can do it kind of consistently. It's incredibly challenging to do, but
no, it's so true. It's like we label literally everything, but it's funny because it's like fundamentally, it's like nothing is the thing that we think it is. It's like a car is not a car. It's just, that's how we kind of process whatever this thing is. But it's like that with everything. And I've kind of been having a little bit lately. I was kind of telling you before, like just, I just feeling like I want to write again. I want to just with my guitar. And I've had to kind of, because I think I developed this habit of like, I try to write songs now. I try to do these things. And I was just playing the guitar and kind of had this moment of like, it hasn't happened for a long time, but I just hit this chord that I was like, that is the chord, just playing that just resonated with something in me. And I was just like, I have to not try. I just have to keep spending time with this and let whatever that is just kind of come in. And I feel like I'm rusty with it because it took me like probably 3 days of just playing the same chords over to just let this chorus come. But it's awesome because now it's finally there. I don't have the verses. I have the melodies, but it's just awesome because I haven't really approached it that way in so long. And I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, this is how you do it. But at the same time, I was watching an interview with Bob Dylan recently, and he was talking about how like he just isn't really able to do that anymore. He's like, I don't know how I wrote those songs before. It was some kind of magic. but I can't sit down and write stuff like that anymore. And that kind of was like, damn, I wonder, that's kind of scary to think, like, if that just ever gets cut off one day, like that's something we don't think about, like creative flow. It's it's something to not take for granted, and I feel like I do take it for granted a lot, you know.
I saw that exact same clip, and it made me think. I was like, oh shit, that is scary, because it's like, but I think about it with myself. It's like, you know, when I was in 7th grade, not 7th grade, because I was just
you don't want to say 7th grade again, because all the comments are.
Oh my god,
you're
we
making
got
it
absolutely blasted on
so
the Holy.
funny.
I said I played Holy Diver for a 7th grade talent show, which is. It's true that I played Holy Diver for a talent show. I actually found out it was either 9th or 10th grade. So I got the number wrong. Doesn't matter at all, but everything happened exactly the way I said it. But it was just funny. Everyone was so pissed. They're like, there's no way this happened. And I'm like, you're partially right. But but just on the details of the day or of the age. But I played Eruption by Van Halen my 7th grade talent show. So Still decent, still of a decent feat for a 7th grader. But anyways, what were we just talking about? Oh yeah, the Bob Dylan thing, right?
Yeah.
I think back when I was in 10th grade or 9th grade, and I was like writing songs and recording them on a little voice recorder or whatever I had. Like, those songs were wild. I mean, they were just all over the place. They had nothing to do with music theory. They were completely random. They were so deeply emotional. They're almost like overly emotional. And I can't even explain. I mean, overly emotional in a way where it's like I was taking things that actually weren't really that big of a deal, but making them this massive, massive deal, which is, I think, part of, you know, being a creative is kind of blowing things out of proportion once in a while. But it's crazy because I'd never be able to do that now because I don't even feel that way anymore. So, but I do think there's still a way to tap into like that universal flow, but I don't know. It's like as you get older, your mind does change. And if you're downloading things, like your consciousness is an antenna, that antenna is changing. So I wonder if what you're like downloading is changing too, no matter what. But
yeah, dude, 100%. And it's like such an interesting thing. I'm sure we've touched on it, but just the fact that when you're creating, it doesn't feel like you. I mean, sometimes it does, but it's such a crazy thing, man. But I feel like, yeah, I do take it for granted a lot, but I think now I'm just like, I just want to write this album so bad. So I kind of am just more approaching it like, let's write this album together to the universe, you know?
Yeah.
And I haven't done that. It sounds kind of weird, but I don't know, man, just something special about it. But speaking of that, I know we got some stuff to promote real quick.
Yeah.
So
got an EP that just dropped, huh?
Yeah. Just dropped a new EP called Not a Home. You know, I feel weird about I don't know. Like I just feel like I'm just so detached from it now because I wrote it like quite a while ago. It was like very like dark and kind of like forced a bit, I feel. I mean, the songs are cool, but I don't know, people seem to be liking them. Like streams are good, and you know, but I'm kind of excited for the next release already. But yeah, man, that was just a lot of depressed emotions kind of coming out there.
I feel like no matter what, whenever you release an EP or a project, you're always going to be different. You're always a different person by the time it comes out.
Oh yeah.
Even if it was like a month ago or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess your judgment of it is, you know, for most people, they just see it for what it is and they get that piece of you that you were at that time when you wrote it or whatever, which is cool because it doesn't matter if, you know, if you don't identify with it now. I feel like that's what's always cool. And that is, I guess, what we were saying, like Bob Dylan is like,
yeah,
he wrote those songs years ago. You can't replicate. But I don't know. I like the EP. You guys should check it out. It's enjoyable.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, it's cool. I probably got to like give it some time and re-listen to it and just be like, oh, this is all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of wanted to make like an emo rap type thing and try some screams. Don't know if I'll ever do it again. It's pretty hard to do. Like, yeah.
How was your voice after that? Didn't it take a while to actually get back? Because you obviously didn't have the full training how to scream properly when you were doing it.
Yeah, I'm still not that great with it. Like it was pretty rough. Like it kind of ruined my vocals for a day. But then I started to like it's kind of like the throat singing a little bit. Like it's kind of that same like resonance a little bit. So but it's just hard to like get there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's harder to produce heavy stuff for me too. But
yeah, it's a lot more complicated. We need Joey Sturgis to help us out with this.
Gain reduction. Do you use that plugin?
I don't know.
It's just a compressor.
I get enough gain reduction for my limiters.
Yeah. Just funny when those plugins, like they design them to where they're like, they look like a old piece of gear and they put like scratch marks and stuff on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So funny.
Dude, so you got your compressor, huh?
I did, yeah. Just got the Golden Age 3A. And
I thought it was a Warm Audio 3A.
Nope, Golden Age and Warm Audio EQ.
Okay.
But yeah, it's great. Can't complain. I love compression. So.
Oh yeah, I'm jealous. I'm just running through my Apollo Twin. I don't know, the UAD console, it's like digital emulations of compressors. It's just not the same because it doesn't, I mean, it's a totally different thing. I mean, analog, you know, if you ever see a graph of like a sine or, you know, a sine wave analog, it's like, it's perfectly smooth, you know? But if you look at a digital one, it looks smooth until you zoom in on it. Then it becomes, it's like all ones and zeros because that's, you know, computers in general. It's like, it's this binary code that your signal, your audio signal gets converted into, like anything that goes digital. And it's like how many things, like when every single aspect is digital, it's like, I feel like you just can't compare it to running it through real gear, real analog gear. And even though in the end it's going to be a digital like signal, the song's going to be digital, it's like there's at least all that high fidelity decompression and preamp going into the computer so that when it does reconstruct it in that digital realm, at least it's the highest quality it could possibly be.
Yeah, and it's like it's, you know, the signal is actually running through like real electronic parts and tubes, which I just think
it's like a physical thing.
Yeah, you don't need analog gear. You know, you can still make great records, but it's just, I just love the compression going in. I think that does quite a bit, but, yeah, man, I don't know. It's fun to mess around for sure.
Yeah. So is the 3A like a LA2A emulation or similarity? I mean, or what is that?
It's like similar to,
usually they have like,
similar to a 2A, just a bit faster.
Okay.
Faster of a compressor. So it catches things a bit faster. So it's kind of like middle ground between the 76 and 2A.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many types of compressors. I'm not an expert really. I'm just like, yep, sounds nice. I like that, you know.
That's just about all you need to know.
Pretty
Does
much.
it sound good?
Yep.
There's
After
a lot of
10
people that
hours
ask-
of reviews on YouTube, it's like, yep,
Right.
that's solid.
Yeah, I have a songwriting course on studio.com and I could just sum it up and be like, you know, if it sounds good, just do it, you know.
Yeah, pretty
There's
much.
all these details. But I mean, it's hard to get there. You know what you want, and then when you can't get there, that's like the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, plugins are great, but you know, I have so many plugins, man. Like I only use like 2% of them. You know, I have that like Wave subscription. And have you ever used the Steven Slate plugins? Or SSL? Not SSL. I guess it is Slate. Yeah, I always get those confused. Slate Digital.
Right. I haven't used them. I saw that you used them before, right?
Yeah, they're solid. But I don't know. It's like kind of hard
What's
to tell.
What's the concept of that? Is it just another brand, or is it kind of like a rack, like a sound rack, or how does it work?
Pretty much, it's like a rack, and then you have all these different components you can add to the rack. It's just like a subscription thing. But yeah, man, there's so many good. I mean, even just like the stock Logic stuff, it's like it's not going to be a huge difference if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And
a lot of times certain plugins are just like adding EQs to stuff and whatever.
I really like the CLA plugins that kind of changed everything for me.
Yeah, CLA is great.
As far as plugins goes, those are fun. It's just an easy way to sound amazing immediately. I mean, you still have to you have to play around with any signal. There's no automatic. But yeah.
What do you use for a delay?
Yeah. You know, I don't really do a lot of delays. I never put a delay directly on my vocal, like as a bus. You know, a lot of people do a slap or tape delay just on all their vocals. Like I never, ever do that. I only put you know, like a 1/4 or a 1/2
like manually kind of
delay manually on certain parts when there's space. I don't know. I need to experiment a little bit, maybe more with some just like instant like tape delay or slap delay, because it does sound cool, but I've never been able to dial it in where I like it on my stuff. But I do use when I do use delay, I use H delay by Waves.
I use the CLA vocals delay on there quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like just the one that's built into the plugin.
Interesting.
Just kind of dial it back a bit.
Yeah, I'm always worried, like, because you were even saying this too, because for any audio people out there, otherwise this might be a little esoteric, but like when you have a plugin or you have something on your vocal chain, unless you bus it out on an auxiliary channel, I sometimes like it'll affect the actual main vocal. Like for example, when in audio, when you put reverb on a vocal, generally you don't put the reverb directly on the vocal channel. You actually bus it out to an auxiliary channel where you have the reverb. So you're kind of taking the full vocal with all the sibilants, all of the, you know, tightness, and then you're blending in that reverb on top. Whereas if you put the reverb directly on the vocal chain, you're just washing out that vocal entirely.
Dude, I still slap it right on the chain.
Oh, you do?
I do.
It's
right something like I want to stop doing. I actually want to learn how to like side chain into the reverb and all that too. But I've just been doing it for so long. It's like a habit.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you use a lot of reverb, so honestly, it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's funny though, because it's like your vocals sound great. So now I'm like, yeah, does it really matter? But either way, I mean,
it probably makes a bit of a difference. Yeah.
It's if you want a little more punch to your vocals, it's nice to have it on there. But what I was saying with like the CLA stuff, it's like, but when I turn that delay on, it's not bussing it out, right? It is happening on the chain. Because you were saying like the compression they use is like a parallel compression, I thought, but that would be bust out. So that's what's confusing about it.
Yeah, no, I don't ever do parallel, but yeah, I'd like to just kind of start learning more, because I was watching some dude talking about his kind of method, and he has all these like pre-set up effects, like buses or auxiliary tracks, like eighth delay, quarter delay, parallel compression, reverb, and he basically takes his vocal and just sends them to those and just like sees what sounds good, and he'll just like blend it in. I'm like, that's probably such a good method. Like just keep your main vocal track just completely unprocessed, besides like compression, EQ.
Well, especially if you have analog gear and everything's running in pretty compressed, how you like it.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of easily do that. And then you're just blending that raw signal with the process. It's like a mix versus wet signal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's probably still so many other ways to do stuff that I just haven't really tried. That would be probably better,
right?
You know?
Yeah, mixing is just like a never-ending process. Same with mastering. We're definitely, mastering is one of those things that, I don't know. That's one thing I still have not at all gotten down. I try the best I can, but it's like you hear someone anytime you hear an artist who goes to a real studio, they get a real mastering engineer with the full process, it's pretty hard to beat it. Like it sounds clean and it's big and it's massive. And it's like, damn, I don't know how much like the average person notices those things. I think it's subconscious though.
I think so too. But, and we both use the same guy to master a lot of our stuff, Nicholas.
Yeah, Nicholas Lorenzo.
Yeah, and he uses a bunch of analog gear as far as I know. So, which I think is awesome, especially for mastering. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's just like you're taking your digital song and sending it out to like your actual hardware compressors and EQs and stuff like that, and then bringing it back in. Yeah. So you're actually running that through the real electronics and stuff, and there's just something to that. But yeah, I don't know, mastering, it kind of seems like maybe digitally we kind of make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like I feel like you could probably master with just like a bus compressor and EQ and maybe like a limiter. Like I don't know what, I mean, I guess maybe like a stereo widener, some saturation, but
I feel like as long as you have enough compression,
there's never enough.
You're good. I know, because I feel like when people send me their songs and they're just starting out and maybe they mix it themselves, usually the vocals always like really under compressed. It's just one of those things. Yeah, it's like one of those things that
it sounds like just like a dry piece of bread or something.
Do you want to know a really funny story that you've probably never heard before? I was in my songwriting class in 2017. This is at Mankato or MSU Mankato, Minnesota State University. I had a songwriting class because I went to college, did a music major, and I was into emo stuff, right? I was an emo acoustic guy, and you were one of the, more well-known acts at that time in that genre. So my professor's like, all right, let's pull up a mix. So I was like, all right, pulling up Say We Can Fly. I think it was like Stacy's song.
Wow. That's crazy, dude.
Literally the first thing my professor says, holy shit, that vocal's compressed.
That's so funny, dude. Holy shit. That's so funny. Oh my God. That's like, I think I was using Cubase for that. Recorded that in my grandma's apartment. That's hilarious, dude. That was like some of the first stuff I think I tried to mix myself, actually. What was that?
Dude, I loved it at the time.
It was compressed.
I was like, this song fucking goes hard.
So funny. Yeah.
There's that little part at the end where it's like something about, it's like there's like a line and then there's like this space and it just like breathes. And it's, I don't know, it's a really beautiful song, especially at the age you wrote it. I think I really enjoyed it. And but yeah, it was just so funny because that's the first thing my professor said was like, holy shit, that vocal's compressed.
Did he like did he say it was too much? Like, was he like, this
no,
is what
not necessarily. No,
that's funny, man.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm into it too. I like those ultra compressed vocals and, especially like really soft spoken or soft sing vocals that are ultra compressed can be really nice. Also, proximity to the mic makes a difference too.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of people that record with the Shure SM7B, it sounds like the vocals just right in your face. If you guys listen to Braden, he's an artist. He has an album called Dropout. I think he recorded it all in the Shure SM7B, and his vocals are just right up in your face. You can just like feel it, just like you could probably feel this if you're listening because we're really close up on the mic.
Yeah, that's one thing I have to break the habit of too. Like when I actually go to record, because with the podcast, you're literally just like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to just remember, like back up from the mic a bit. Yeah.
Some people, like when they perform live, they like have the mic like way back, but you're actually supposed to, with those dynamic mics, like be right on it. Like your lips should be like basically touching those dynamic mics. But people don't realize that, and that really affects how it sounds.
Yeah, I would always be right up to it. And one thing I never understood, like I started using, like I bought my own mic. I was like, how do people like use other people's mics and like share mics? To me, that's just like insanely gross at those shows.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, because of that mic technique, I've never been able to share my mic with anybody.
Hell no.
But there's a lot of people, I've had people ask to use my mic before, but I just tell them, I'm like, honestly, I would totally not care at all. But the way that I perform and, how you should technically do it, but most people don't, is my lips are right up on it. So like, it's like, you don't want to use that,
Dude, the classic.
And I don't want anyone else to use it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The classic. Can I use your guitar for my set? You ever
That's
got
hilarious.
That? So funny, dude. Yeah.
I had that, yeah. Sometimes it's totally fine because it's like your friend or something with you, or it's like someone you know. But then if it's like a random person, then you're like, oh shit.
And they like break a string.
That's funny.
That's happened. But
yeah, I've had to use someone else's guitar at a show though because my pickups went out completely, which I felt bad, but
yeah, it just happens. So
disasters.
You have a show coming up, eh?
Yeah, I do have a show. Good time to talk about it. Yeah, it's we just called it Midwest Emo Rap because obviously Midwest Emo is a classic genre. So Midwest Emo Rap. Yeah, it's going to be February 21st. It's in St. Paul, Minnesota. I think it's a Far East bar and restaurant. I'm not sure. I think it's a Far East venue in St. Paul. And it's going to be Young Van, Young Kel, Flowers for You, Lil Mikey, Ethos 99. Some great artists, great lineup. But yeah, check it out. You can get the tickets at the link in my bio, like on Instagram. Or you could just Google it too, Midwest Emo, Drawn to the Sky. But yeah, it should be fun. I try to play a couple shows, here and there, just just to keep consistent with it, because I just don't play enough. So whenever someone else organizes something, and my friend Ethos organized it, and yeah, it's just like I always take those opportunities because I just never go out of my way to play shows. But I mean, you had a booking agent too, right? So
yeah, no, I used to have a booking agent. Yeah, it's nice like when it's something like your friends do, because there's no pressure of like, oh, you got to promote this. But yeah, I've said this a million times, but like I do not miss playing live or touring it. This like it was great while I did it, but just that whole like hustle, it was so hard, man. Like just the promoters like sending you emails like, you got to make a post, you got to promote these, like trying to sell tickets, and it's just hard, man. I mean, it's, obviously you have to do that, but yeah,
I think setting up shows for yourself, if you can do it, is obviously the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, that's cool though. You're headlining
but
it?
Yeah. Yep. And then, so headlining it, and a lot of great artists from out of state. That's the main reason I'm just headlining it, just because.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm local to Minnesota, but yeah, it'll be really fun, and get your tickets if you want to hang out and listen to some guitar shredding and emo rap combined. I guess it's usually what I represent, but it's so hard to play guitar live though with those shows, because I'm like, I got the backing track, I got just a million things going on with Logic processing everything, and it can be tough. But the electric guitar I'm talking about, but yeah, it's always like, it's always an event, we'll put it that way. But I enjoy it. I think it's just good to keep the reps going. I haven't played since July, so yeah, it should be a fun time.
Yeah, I haven't seen you play with tracks and stuff, I don't think.
Every time we've played together, I've just done acoustic.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played Skyway Theater. It was like a couple years ago. That was acoustic, and then we played with Johnny Gilbert at the Garage 3 years ago now, I guess. 2020. Yeah, it might have been 2023. I don't know, but
it's crazy.
But yeah, it was all acoustic stuff. I never got to see you with your tracks. I'm pissed.
Yeah, you sent me a video of that a while ago. Kind of forgot about it. I don't know. I just always felt like really out of place playing live. Like I didn't always, but just kind of I don't know, last few years of it, I just always felt just like imposter syndrome ish, kind of like, why am I doing this? Like nobody really cares, nobody wants to, and that's like a powerful thing.
It's weird. Funny because people actually do care. But yeah, it's the feeling though. It's the feeling you're talking about.
Yeah, 100%, dude. But it's like I never was able to recognize that. Like throughout my whole life, I've always had really bad, like, I don't even know what you call it, just self-criticism, anxiety about everything, like feeling like nothing's good enough that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like really personal, but yeah, that's just like, it's hard because that can really overtake your mind, like while you're on tour, when you just start to feel like no one cares, even if it's not true. Cause it's like, it's so much effort to do. And it's like, why 100%. Am I doing this? Which kind of sucks to look back and think like, I wish I had been more like present with that stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it never came across that way when I saw you live, which is another funny thing. I was talking to a friend about this. Sometimes you'll do an interview maybe, or you do a show and you feel like so anxious and so like out of your, like you're on autopilot. And then you're like, that was so bad. I did such a bad job. But then like you take some time away from it and you come back to it and you like watch it when you're not anxious and you're like, oh, actually it wasn't that bad. It was pretty decent. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's so weird. It's so weird how that works. But
yeah, man, mental health with all that stuff can be challenging because it's so like integrated with it all, but
100%.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like even because you were just saying like, oh, you were like a more well-known acoustic whatever act. I never like thought that. Never, I don't know, dude. I don't know if you have it, but it's just I'm always like I minimize everything kind of, but it keeps me like working and wanting to do more. But it's weird,
I mean, in that genre, like you probably, I would say you're probably like top 2 to 3 artists like worldwide in that exact niche of emo acoustic, for sure. Absolutely. Especially obviously like 2015 to 2019 range. But then like after you started more production, like you started building a similar, reputation with like the emo EDM stuff, because like I always saw you on a lot of like editorial playlists for that kind of thing. So yeah, it's like you never know how you're like perceived from the outside. You're always minimizing things. It's like anytime I've had a goal, like the first time I hit 100,000 streams, it was my biggest goal on Spotify. I was like, this will be everything once I do this. And then the day that it happened, I was like pissed because a YouTuber like listened to the song and did like a review and was like, yeah, I didn't like the song. And I was like, fuck that guy. And then when the song hit 100,000 streams, I was not even happy at all. I like totally ruined it. And then I minimized everything. Same thing with 1 million streams, same thing with 10 million overall streams. It's just like, it never feels like anything. And you always feel like kind of worthless no matter what you do. But it's funny because other people don't perceive you in that same way. So it's just like, it's hard to remind yourself of that. But I think it's good for other people to tell you and be like, hey, like, this is how you consider yourself, but I think of you this way. And that's a bigger reflection of what's actually going on, because I mean, that's kind of what you are as a musician, is like other people listen to your music and love it. I mean, obviously it's for yourself, but
yeah, for sure, man.
You know, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Just kind of tough sometimes. Like I remember, like, I think I just always felt like a bit inferior, because like even when I did Warped Tour and stuff, like my whole path with music was always like outside of kind of like industry, like always very much like never really found my way in there. So even when I did Warped Tour, it was like I just did it because I got voted on by my audience, and like, yeah. But then I, be playing shows, but then there's like other acoustic acts that like were on a label and like on a big stage, and I was just always felt like so outcast, even though it was like successful. But and I still feel I've never really found my way into like the industry side of stuff. Never made like big connections and stuff, and I don't know. It's just weird. It's easy to like compare yourself, but at the end of the day though, it's like I'm at peace with all that, and like I'm happy with kind of how the trajectory went and stuff. And yeah, man. Yeah. Because I think part of it comes down to like what you want to as a person. So yeah.
It definitely is what you want and how you prioritize your living situation and all these things. Like living in LA, if you want to go the standard industry route, like, yeah, it's a good place. You meet a lot of cool people and you can eventually do it. You would eventually, if a person lives in LA, they're a really good artist and they really understand communication skills. They understand you have to, if you want something, you have to give something to somebody, and not in like a only superficial way. I think if you, live in a city like that and you really hustle and you understand people, I think you can definitely like make some serious industry moves. Because there's a lot of artists I see sign that the talent is not correlating with like the push for what they're, doing. And I'm not saying that they're completely untalented, but there's so many people more talented than a lot of the industry people that you see come out in, so and I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, do you prioritize that? Like, I didn't prioritize it. Like once the pandemic hit, I was like, I got to get out of LA, because it was, first of all, it was impossible to pay rent because I had no money whatsoever. But it's like, I could have just came back full time after that. But I like being in the Midwest more and having the space. And it's like, I'm making a trade-off where it's like, if that was your number one priority to go the industry route with music, you could have done that, but you probably always prioritize other things a little bit more that were a little bit opposed to it.
I think so. And it's like anytime I really had like kind of brushes with the industry more so, it always felt like trying to take away what was there a little bit. Like it was like do things differently, different image, different sound. Not just that, but just it kind of felt like, how do you preserve like the reason I'm doing this and do that stuff? Like I feel like it's kind of a compromise. Sometimes you get lucky and you find you're able to do it and like fully just be yourself and fully just do what you want to do. But I think part of it too is like I just had a hard time like letting people in to my creative stuff, because it's like, no, this is my thing. This is like what I want to say. And I don't know, maybe like a selfish thing, but I just have a hard time with, I don't know, just like letting other people be like, you should do this or maybe make it sound like this. I don't know. And you have to kind of do that sometimes, not that it's always a bad thing. Like sometimes you get in a room with writers and in a studio, but I remember I did my first like writing session in LA that was like set up and, I just was like, I just don't like this. Like it was like maybe a week. I wrote some cool songs that we put out, but it just didn't feel the same. It was like, it's not, I don't know. It's weird. But
yeah, it's interesting. I've done some songwriting for like other artists, and I've, you know, for people who are trying to get a publishing deal. So then they, you know, they either want a song written or help with, you know, a song written. So you're like in a session with artists and whatever. And I always really enjoyed it because I was trying to detach at that point, especially when it's not my song. I think it's harder when it's your song because it's like you're also, your personal brand is attached to it. And it's like, if you're pouring your heart out, it's like hard to write with others because it's like they don't know what to say that's true to you. And I think it can go well though too if you detach and treat songwriting a little bit more detached too. But yeah, it's ebbs and flows, and I think when I met you, or just observing you from the outside too, like, and I've mentioned this before, you probably have some of the biggest, most multifaceted skill sets of anybody like I've ever met by a lot. And I think that's because you just can't put up with other people doing anything for you.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah. No, it's true.
You just refuse. It's like a stubbornness, but actually a good stubbornness because you've learned all these skills now and you can do everything yourself. Don't have to pay someone for every little thing,
dude. And it's 100%. And but it's it's
a blessing and a curse though. It's a blessing and a curse.
No, it totally is. But I think like there's a truth, and I know me and Jake talked about this a lot, like with him with like film stuff. It's so hard to find people that will actually do a good job and like nail your vision.
Yeah,
like
100%.
You know, he's the same stuff. He's like, oh, I got the poster back and it looked like it was like a 10-year-old did it, and you know, Photoshop. And I just found that a lot with stuff too, like with mixes, with like, I don't know, you know, videos, whatever, photos. So I was like, I'm probably going to have to pay a lot of money to get actual better results than what I can do on my own. So I was just like, yeah. And yeah, I'd love to do that with some stuff. But I think with the film, it's been like a exercise in like collaboration, and that's been good. And I'm way more open to it with the film because it's more necessary. I still obviously have like vision, but you just can't do it all. You can't.
Yeah, we're both in the same boat. We're both come from like doing literally every little detail you could possibly imagine ourselves with everything. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a good exercise in collaboration. With the film, it's impossible to make your own stuff with just yourself. That's really, really comes to a cinematic, epic level that you want. You know, you can do small, easy stuff by yourself, but it's so one dimensional. But yeah, it seems like there's a few things though, like mastering with audio. I find that mastering, people always do a better job than I do. Even no matter how much I learn mastering, that's it. But that is like, there is a creative aspect to it for sure, but it's almost a little more technical. It's not both. It's not one or the other. It's like kind of even, but a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like mixing and, you know, designing a poster or color grading.
Yeah.
You know,
because it's all subjective.
Creative. It's all subjective. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with mastering, it's like mixing is where you're like, I don't even know what the analogy would be, but you're taking all the parts and you're building the thing and making it sound the way you want. So it's like
giving that sonic signature.
Yeah. And it's like, if you have the control to do that and then you have someone else master it, that's really good. They're just going to bring out all the stuff you did,
which they can hear stuff better than you can on the mix.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So I think next record I'll for sure have someone master. And I honestly really liked Nicholas mastering. Like,
he's got great videos online too for anyone who wants to learn.
We should have him on.
Panorama mastering. We should have him on. Hopefully,
yeah, man.
If you're seeing this, Nicholas, we love you.
Yeah, love you, man. Sorry we started mastering our own music, but
yeah, we started mastering our own recently. Yeah, well, it's like you need to learn. You know, you want to take a stab at it yourself. It's
for sure. But no, I've tried some other mastering engineers.
Yeah,
it's never been like enough of a difference to where, like, just with Nicholas stuff, it always sounds good. Like I personally haven't ever had to send him a note, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's just always consistent. And yeah.
If ever I send notes, I always like look back at it and I'm usually like, I have like demo-itis where I want something to sound a certain way and it's actually my bad. And I remember one time and this isn't just for Nicholas, for any master, I'm sure this other people relate to. It's like you get a master from someone else or something, a mix. Then you do your own version because you like your own version better. I've done it where I've uploaded my own version. I went back to listen to like the version I got mastered professionally like 2 months later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so much better. But you can't hear it in the moment because you're too close to it. And that's a very interesting thing with creativity. It's like you sent me a video the other day. It's like you're mastering till it's 2 a.m. and you're like switching the compression ratio on a vocal. And you're like doing the tiniest little details that no one will ever hear but you. Mm-hmm. There's so something amazing about that too. It's really funny. I've overmixed songs so much, and I've like bounced so many versions. Sometimes you listen back to the first version and it's like it was way better than everything you've done up till that point, because you just kill your ears. And I don't know what that phenomenon is. It's interesting though. It's like you get too close to something and you have to step back for a bit to like see the full picture. It's a good analogy probably for a lot of stuff, or a metaphor or whatever.
I had Nicholas master the Farlight theme song. Like way.
Oh, really?
I did, yeah. I made that awesome. Way before anything else. It's funny.
I love that theme song.
It's a sweet song, dude. It's funny because I actually did this like kind of coaching session with this magician that I met on tour, and he's also like a life coach, kind of about whatever, just like connecting with your higher self and all this. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a session with him. And he was like, just do the immediate thing that feels good. Like, don't think about anything, but whatever you feel pulled to do, just do it. Mm-hmm. And right after that, I like looked at my guitar. It's like, yeah, I just kind of want to pick it up. Picked it up, spit out that Farlight theme song right away. It was kind of cool.
That's amazing. What was his name, the magician?
Dude, I actually don't remember right now.
It wasn't Reza, was it? R-E-Z-A?
No, I don't think so.
Reza? Okay.
But we should have him on. Have a magician on. That'd be sweet.
That'd be cool.
I was super into magic.
I opened
a while ago. Yeah.
I saw that. I remember opening for a magician at like a college event, and there's like 500 people in the crowd. It was cool. And he said he was really good friends with Christopher Drew from Never Shout Never. So that's why I asked.
No, it was I can't remember his name. And that's terrible, but
yeah, you were into magic for a while, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I got into it maybe 2018. Can't remember exact year, but I learned a bunch before a tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, and then like another guy that was on tour with us happened to also be really into it, which was so random. So we just were always doing magic tricks for everyone. And that was when I was like good at it, because I was practicing every day. Could do some crazy shit, dude. It's just, it's another thing that it's like, once you learn how it works, kind of like, damn it. Like, because then you can look at most tricks and kind of be like, because it's just different principles. But it's actually real. It's actually real magic. So don't listen to anything I'm saying.
Dude, when my dad gave me my Yu-Gi-Oh cards last night, guess what was in the bottom of the pile? It was a magic deck, like a trick deck for playing magic tricks. And, you know, it's like some of the cards were like, what do you call it? Like just siphoned down a little bit. I don't know what I don't know what the term is, but it was like the deck was designed to be, you know, you have this advantage when you're like peeling back the cards or whatever. I don't know if you've ever used stuff. You showed me a trick with a traditional deck, though, and it blew my mind. I don't remember that one. All right, let's see one right now. Live on the podcast, on the spot.
Dang, I don't have my cards. I could do one, but
I'm sure.
I used to do one on live streams.
You'd be able to remember it, just go.
I did some on live. Yeah, there's still some like I remember.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. But anyways, I forget what we were talking about. But I was going to say
the magician. Oh, that's the magician was teaching you how to just pick up the guitar and just.
Yeah.
Whatever. What were you?
No, I just kind of was thinking like when I wrote that theme song for Farlight, it's just interesting because like I think I'd maybe only written Old Dog, like one of the stories at the time. But it's like I was doing all these things, like I was making like AI concept images and all this stuff. But it's like and same with the song, it's like you kind of build a piece of the world, even you know, we're not on set, we're not filming, but you start to build little pieces of it, and that gives you more of an idea, and that kind of opens it up more. I just think that's interesting. I like to do stuff like that. Like even I've been messing around with some score ideas for Farlight, like just some melodies and sounds, because I feel like it's a massive world build, pretty much. It's under construction right now.
Well, you have to take things one step at a time to like lead to the next thing, because I've been, I have this idea for a period piece, film screenplay. And I was like, I need something to like push me to start writing it. So then I was like, I'm just going to buy a full set of armor that I'm going to use in the film. But it's like when I bought that, I was so motivated to like start writing it. And ever since that, I've been doing more research and like just continuous like looking up and like starting the process, and it's building and building and building and building. And it's eventually like, I know that once I just start writing it, like it's just going to flow because I've been building all these little pieces up over time. And I think sometimes it's, there's different ways to do it. I think with the screenplay, I've never written one, so to me that's very difficult. But a lot of times with the song, it's like you just got to shut your mind off completely,
Dude, screenplay is like,
boom,
we open in an empty room. It's like,
yeah,
it's actually pretty, I find it easier. It's more just coming up with like good dialogue that's hard. But
oh yeah,
I feel like honestly most of the stuff we've done with Farlight has translated pretty decently, like from the script to, but I think that's like a lot of times when I write dialogue, I'm just saying it out loud, like I'm having the conversation kind of. But I also like the freedom of just letting people say whatever they're kind of feeling, But
yeah, it's one thing Robert Eggers said that when he's on set, there's no improvising, and the blocking is perfect. Everything is perfectly storyboarded. It is perfectly planned. He said there was only like 1 or 2 shots in Nosferatu that happened like spontaneous, and someone was like, hey, do this. And then he did it, and he was like, oh, thank you. You said that because we actually needed that. And it was something simple like, oh, a door closed. He's like he won't let anything be improvisation. And Baz was saying how it's kind of frustrating when directors are saying you have to do everything, but it depends because like for him, the end result is incredible. So it's like, you can't argue with that. And I think it just depends on the style and what you're doing. I think it makes sense because like all of Robert Eggers' films are like period piece based. So it's like improvising in a period piece might be kind of weird because it's like how much of that culture of the time do you have ingrained in you where when you improvise it actually like makes sense.
Yeah,
and he's
exactly.
just so strict with that. But
so is Nosferatu, is it like creepy at all, did you find?
I got a little bit like
is it a horror
unsettled,
or
it is a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few jump scares in there, and it's very interesting camera movement. So you kind of are like, oh, what's coming next? It's interesting. You're going to be like, oh, I wasn't afraid at all. But to me, I was like, yeah, I was a little afraid. But at the same time, I was so obsessed with just looking at every shot. I was like, I don't really care about the horror aspect.
Yeah.
But it was creepy. And there's a few scenes where I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Like I said, I've never been a huge fan of like Dracula stuff or werewolf, but yeah, I'm excited.
Dracula is such like a gothic aesthetic. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Like monster movies, it's not scary to me because it's just so like it's such a fantasy in some sense. But I mean, they're passed down from different cultures though. Some of these stories, and that's what can be cool about that, like kind of a folk tale. And Nosferatu is kind of a little bit of a folk tale, and he was really, and that's why I loved The Witch, because The Witch was based on folk tales. So it was taking real fears of people at a certain time period and a certain point in history, and it was bringing those real fears onto a screen and realizing those fears. Oh, that's just why amazing. I love The Witch so much. It's like,
we gotta find a really obscure folk tale and write around it. It'd be so cool. That would be such a fun style of horror to do. Be so sick.
That's exactly what I want to do with my period piece. I don't know if I want to go horror, but I do kind of want it to be pretty accurate. I don't care about everything. Unless you have millions of dollars, it's hard to be perfectly accurate. But yeah, I don't know. It's exciting though. That's the period pieces. To me, that's what film is all about. It's taking you out of your present reality where you are and putting you into a different world that you sink into, and you feel it, and it's really tangible. And I think, I was mentioning this in the last podcast, but there's a lot of movies and shows today where it's like, you just feel Hollywood in it. You feel the politics in it. You feel that they're trying to make a message out of the film. And we'll one thing that Robert Eggers says is like his main focus is like, don't make this a message. Like this movie isn't about, it's not trying to say anything necessarily. It's just transporting you into that world. I'm not saying it's bad to have a message in a film. I think it's a great idea to do it. And films can really like change people's minds about things, and you can really learn a lot about stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just like movies that aren't like that. I like just being transported to a place. I don't want to think about the casting director's decisions. I don't want to think about any, political things. I don't want to think about anything current in our climate. Like I don't even like shows with like cell phones in them, because I love being just transported to a place in history or a fantasy world, but that doesn't feel manufactured totally. It's like it feels real,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
So what was your movie recommendation for the week?
You're going to love this one. I watched Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were Bunny.
The Were Rabbit?
Or the Were Rabbit?
Nice, dude.
Were Rabbit. Because I hadn't seen any of those, like their stuff, besides Chicken Run, which is a different story by the same production company. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, it's great, dude. You got to watch the original short ones. Those are the best.
I was looking for the one where you're talking about they go to the moon. I thought that
A Grand Day Out is what it's called. Yeah, there's three original ones. I mean, maybe there's more, but
yeah,
I just love
cozy. Yeah, it's so cozy.
Cheese,
Robert,
Gromit, so funny.
It's pretty funny, dude. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I just rented it randomly. I was like, I gotta watch this. Like,
I remember seeing that in theaters. It's pretty awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think I saw Chicken Run in theaters now that I think of it.
Yeah. Chicken Run was great too.
Yeah. I love claymation and all that stuff. It's just crazy how they do that. I have no idea how it's done. I don't know how it works with the camera movement with the frames. I don't know how that's done at all. I've never looked it up.
I think it's literally crazy, taking billion pictures.
Right. But is the camera being moved like a millimeter every frame? How does that work? I don't think I think there's like some tricks with it.
There's gotta be
like the camera movement.
Well, I guess I'll say mine. My movie, probably Black Mass. I was telling you about with Johnny Depp. It's one that right. I missed somehow. I think I didn't realize he was in it because his character is so different from him. Plays this
doesn't
like
even really
greasy,
look like him.
Yeah, like greasy, like mafia boss or something. But I love it, dude. I love character transformations so much. So cool. Baz's new thing he posted looks sick. His character transformation.
That was insane. Do you know what it's for?
He said it was a makeup test for a horror movie or something. So I can't wait to see that.
We should throw up the old still.
Yeah, we should put it up here. Yeah, we'll do that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I love that because I feel like that, like I've only ever done characters that are like a different costume or a different hair, but I feel like my dream is like a full transformation because that just allows you to just be something totally different. And that's, man, got to do that.
Yeah, it seems like that's what you're drawn towards for sure. Trying to separate it from yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to learn both, but it's like, if that's natural, it's like, it would be fun though. It's fun. Like, people say the biggest thing with acting is they get a chance to be someone that they never got the chance to be in real life, or that they never wanted to be because it's a bad person. But it's like, you get to experience what that's like because you have to embody that a little bit. It's crazy. I don't know why it has bad reviews, but the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, Jim Carrey version, that's like one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's so cozy. I just love it. And his transformation in that is, I mean, it's just insane. Like the amount of time they spent on that. I mean, same with, Bill Skarsgård and It and Nosferatu. It's just these crazy prosthetics. And it's like, you're just, I sort of did it, I guess, with the old man in Hedge Mill.
The greasy rubber farmer.
No, it wasn't like a makeup, but.
You did a good job. Like, I feel like nobody would ever be like, oh, that's Dustin. Like,
right.
like I mean, obviously, looks different, but I remember when you started doing that, I was just kind of thinking like, you'll just put the mask on and whatever, but you actually like embodied it pretty damn well. Like you had like a little hunch and like the way you walked and shit. And it was just cool to see it.
Yeah.
Like in the
I was
edit.
just thinking of my grandma because I spent time with my grandma growing up, like all throughout, I don't know, like age 0 to 14 years old. All summer long was with my grandma when my mom was at work. So I was just like, I'm just going to channel grandma's walk.
So funny.
She started to bend over as she got older. And I was like, how did she act? Like, how did she open a door,
Dude, I remember the only regret I have is that the boots were too clean.
Yeah.
Squeaky clean boots.
Dude, I still use those to this day.
So funny.
This is kind of a funny, well, maybe I won't go. No, yeah, I don't know. That was a really fun character. No, it's just funny. Those boots in Hedgemil. I took them out to the creek one day, or the creek, to film for Bones Rooted Under Cloudy Water. There's kind of a shot where there's a skull underwater with like dirt on it. And it's in the Spotify canvas. And it took me like an hour and a half to get that 1 second shot. And I remember I fell into the creek with the boots on. And literally my foot went all the way past my knee into the muck. And those boots just filled up with dirt and water.
Absolutely flooded.
And dude, I was 20-minute walk from my car.
That's so funny.
I'm just freaking sloshing my way back. That's so funny.
Absolutely abusing the boots.
Yeah, abusing
funny,
the boots. Dude. But no, Hedgemil was a lot of fun. And yeah, you don't care about anything because your face isn't even on the screen. It's someone else.
Yeah.
But you got to embody it no matter what you're doing. And
the lantern shake.
The lantern.
So awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, that was fun. I really enjoyed that one. And it's so goofy. It's so damn goofy, but it was a fun time.
It's just funny, dude. Just the overalls. Like sometimes you just be wearing the boots and overalls holding the audio shit. It's just, that's so funny. I love it.
I was flipping back and forth between being like the old man versus and the audio. And I remember sometimes I would just leave the prosthetic mask on my head during doing audio. And it's just like, it was just so sweaty in there. And like we had like Vaseline on the face. And I just remember like, I couldn't breathe because of the haze in the room, dude. 16 hours a day. Oh,
I have a video of you, Micah took, where you're looking in the mirror, just slathering Vaseline all over the mask. So funny, dude. Dude. So funny.
Well, it gave that oily skin texture that we needed.
Yeah, it's a weird look. Remember when we were doing the barn, playing that weird spider thing, and you're just like on the ground going like this?
Oh my God, yeah. I remember that.
Just destroying the webs and shit.
Dude, the thing about that barn is that like I wasn't even sure if all those boards, because this was a barn attic with just like, boards that are just old, and there's some areas that were rotted out and there was holes. And I remember it was covered in hay. So we were like, we could take a step at any moment and just go through. So I remember going downstairs and I was looking up and I was like, okay, how do these boards look like, because there's some areas that had water pool and then they all rotted out. And I just remember praying like, okay, I don't want anyone to fall through the ceiling.
Do you remember when I was like, all right, me and Mike are going to go like, at the same time, and we like blew out the audio. You were laughing so hard because you weren't prepared for it. The audio
so hot.
And we just like screamed it, and it just like peaked so hard.
Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. All right, let me do it. I'll do a couple. I'll start from there. Yeah. Just. Sorry.
Story is so bad. It was hilarious. It was like. I died laughing for like 3 minutes.
Dude, we got some good bloopers. We'll do a blooper reel at the end of Farlight in the credits. Some funny shit.
That's awesome.
Really funny.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of funny moments in that Hedgemil shoot.
Yeah.
Dude, the burn, man. I remember getting that burn barrel scene was a tough one with did we have a mosquito problem or no, we didn't have any mosquito problems, I guess.
No, I think it was all right.
That was just a hard one with the lighting, but we already told the story.
Dude, that absolutely fucking massive C stand. What is it? The Mambo combo stand? Oh, the light just fucking combo. Like 20 feet in the air, just like swaying.
Dude. Oh, dude, the worst thing was Hedgemil the very first night.
Oh, because it was
remember the very first night, it was pouring rain, and we had to put the moonlight up.
Yeah.
And you have to put it really high to get the angle like accurate to moonlight. So me and Josh are just slinging this thing up. It's so heavy. Like it's just slipping through our hands. Like the rain is just pouring down. We have like a tarp over the light because we had a lantern on the outside, like one of those, it was like a Chinese lantern looking, dome. And dude, like the water's just coming down. And I remember like I was on the phone with you guys and then Josh would go out. Sometimes I'd be like holding it. And like one time it got like unplugged. Dude, that was insane that first night setting up that light. People don't realize how difficult like the gaffing in filming is.
Oh, it's hard, man.
It takes so much energy. Like you're so drained by the time like camera is ready.
Oh yeah.
That you're just like, let's just get this over with, Not really, but you're just like, oh man, it's a lot of work. But yeah, that was really funny. I just remember we started Hedge Mill and we're like, we didn't know if like the lighting setup was right. We're just like, are we just going? Like, is this good? Like, are we just running the middle of the script right now? Because we started non-chronologically, which is so weird. You're like, I don't know like the tone of the film because we hadn't done like a big rehearsal with everybody. And there's a lot of things you kind of learn, like the importance of that, but it's hard with scheduling and all that.
Yeah, that was terrifying, man, for me because I remember, we had done Old Dog, but we knew Hedge Mill could be better. But I remember that first night, I just had this moment of like absolute terror. Like there's no way this is going to work. Like I remember just thinking like, holy fuck, like just put all this energy and money into this thing. It's like, can we even do it? Right. But you just push through it. But yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like if Farlight had a huge budget, it would be pretty nuts. Like just even the ideas I originally had for like the creatures and the characters, you just can't do it without like prosthetics and crazy. Like the creatures would have been really fucking disturbing, and maybe some people would think they are, but I don't know. I'm good with how it's turning out though, and what it's going to be, and maybe it'll get picked up for a series. You never know. Just do all that crazy shit.
It could be like a cool concept piece too to pitch. For
100%. It's one of those things where it's like I feel like the world it could endlessly be expanded. And there's endless stories, ideas, and it could be, but I doubt we're gonna.
That's the thing is, some people, I know some people do make like a short film just to pitch for funding for their film. Yeah,
so, and we probably could have maybe done that. We could have a couple short films, but I'd rather just see it through.
I've never shot a short film. Just went right to the feature with Farlight.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I was always just like,
you could consider Old Dog. Yeah, I know. You could consider Old Dog the one we shot a short film because it's not going to be a part of the series.
Well, we're just going to reshoot it.
We're reshooting it. I'm saying, but what we did was kind of a short film, the practice of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I agree. It's like, no one's going to see it. It's kind of,
you're just limited on what you can do with it. It's like throw it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just never appealed to me. I just wanted to do a full movie.
Why not just get the kinks out for a full movie? Because like that's 3-4 short films right there. It's like,
well, I feel like the average person probably wouldn't do it. You kind of got to be nuts to be like, we've never made a movie and we're just gonna figure it out because it's such a huge commitment.
We've got no shortage of nuts.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Just fucking gotta make it happen. Yeah, it's killing me, man. I just want to get back on set so bad. But it's just sometimes too, it's like when you're doing this, at least with Farlight, it's not like a full-time thing. It's not, there's no money being made from it. It's like you just have to prioritize other stuff sometimes.
Yeah, we're spending 100-hour weeks, unpaid and losing money.
Yeah.
But it's like, and some people just can't even imagine doing that. But it's like, that's what I've done my whole life, basically. Like everything I do is, it pays nothing until it does, and you have to just risk it all and just put it on the line and try to get by in the meantime.
Yeah, you got to really care about it to do it.
But no, that's actually part of the reason we were able to do it is because we're musicians, so we don't have a job to cancel or to take off work from.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the blessing, and I think that's why our partnership with it works out because it's like we treat our days and our schedules so similar as it is. It like we can just do that,
Yeah, and that's great. A huge blessing, man. Massive.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to get back on set, but we might do some stuff this winter. A couple things we got to pick up.
Couple drone shots.
But a couple drone shots, yeah.
Well, I actually got to hop off soon here.
Oh, yeah, you got to see Nosferatu.
Hit the old cinema. Get a Diet Coke. Should be a good time.
No popcorn, though?
No.
Damn, bro.
No popcorn, boys. Still fasting, so.
Sweet. Well, yeah, enjoy the film. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a little review of the movie.
Yeah, that'd be fun to do. Short little video. And yeah, check out the Amber Force merch if you haven't.
Definitely check it out.
Great items. I just got my items today and
you got your
absolutely
mug?
Love them. Didn't get the mug yet, but I got got the crew neck. I think the mug I think it was just a random situation with the mug. But we can take that out of the pod. Yeah, I don't, actually just like not in the pod right now. Yeah. It's like stuck in shipment.
Did you check?
Yeah, it's stuck somewhere. It's like wasn't accepted by like whoever. It's
really?
Like January 9th, it was like received in Minneapolis and it's just not released. You should check that.
Yeah, I'll check. That's so funny.
Let's not put that in.
But yeah, check out the merch shop. And yeah. If you like we said, you have any ideas, questions, drop them in the comments. Always happy
we'd love
to talk
about whatever.
You know, we got to come up with ideas on the fly sometimes. But I guess
sometimes we just jump in.
Yeah, but yeah, we should be having a guest on very soon. Hopefully next week, yeah. And check those bad boys out. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's the thumbnail right there.
Dude, in 4th grade, that would have been my flex. Like, just like anyone messed with me, just God cards. Like,
so funny.
Don't even come near me. Sweet. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening. Hit the subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Share it with your
grandma.
Your grandma. I was going to say.
Specifically.
Love it.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys.
Peace.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Decent. What the hell? Stop recording.